Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod. Mortarpod is a weekly video podcast where I present to you a custom magic set made special based on movies, TV shows, video games from the past that either connect with me on a nostalgic level or suggested by you guys, and then I connect with and bring to you. So we're in December. This week is not a Christmas-themed one, but I may do a Christmas-themed one for next week. I'm not sure yet. I got to think about it. But this week is a very exciting one. We've got Wayne's World. So Wayne's World, amazing comedy movie, just, cult classic now, based on a skit on Saturday Night Live, spun off to a movie form, and became wildly popular, and so much so that they made a sequel and everything. So I love Wayne's World. It's hilarious. It was fun making this set because I got to look back at some old clips from the movie and some of the hilarious dialogue. And, you'd be amazed how many little Easter eggs there are in that movie that when you watched it, you didn't even realize was in it. But well, let's get into it. So we've got Wayne Campbell, played by Mike Myers. And if you don't know Wayne's World at all, it's just a couple of guys, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey, Wayne and Garth. And they host a local access TV show out of Wayne's basement. And it's just them sort of goofing off, and they get popular. And I guess I would just suggest go see the movie. It gets a little more complicated than that. They end up selling the show and then sort of dealing with the corporate side of the showbiz. And it's just really good. It's funny. So Wayne Campbell, he's 1 and 2 white for a 2/3 legendary human creature. He's a mythic. He has the mechanic of this set, which is called Celebrity. And Celebrity is, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 white human creature token named Fan onto the battlefield. And then Wayne's other ability is creatures you control named Fan get +1/+1. So pumps out 1/1s every turn, makes them 2/2 with his static ability. So definitely wanted Wayne to be a very powerful creature. I tried to balance his power level by comparing him to Master of the Wild Hunt. So Master of the Wild Hunt was 4 mana, and it spits out 2/2 wolves, and he can tap and make the wolves fight. Wayne is 3 mana, but he's also a legend, so you can't have multiples of him. And if Wayne dies, all the fans become 1/1s. So I think he's fine. I don't think he'd be broken. He is very strong, though, of course. And so I made a fan token card, and it's actually the guy who watches Garth do a drum solo and comes up to him afterwards and says, "That was amazing, dude." So I thought that guy was pretty picture perfect for the fan token. Next we have Garth Algar, played by Dana Carvey. And honestly, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey just did such an amazing job performing that movie. They really did make it, because the acting was just so important to really make you believe these characters, and they did it so well. And Dana Carvey just did an amazing job as Garth Algar. So Garth Algar is 1 colorless, a white and a blue for a 2/2 legendary human artificer creature. He's a mythic. He also has Celebrity, and then he has a activated ability of 1 blue and tap. Put a colorless artifact token named Makeshift Stun Gun onto the battlefield with sacrifice this artifact, tap target creature. So I also made a token card for the Makeshift Stun Gun. And if you don't remember that scene, it's he's at the gasworks. It's a bar, and he's trying to get by this enormous dude. And the enormous dude just gets grumpy with Garth and basically tosses him and calls him a dweeb. So Garth goes out to his car and pulls out this like crazy stun gun he's made from I believe it's like from jumper cables or something like that. Um, and he just goes back in there and just zaps the guy and makes him fly backwards. So I wanted to have that included with his character. And Garth would be really good because not only is he spitting out dudes to help defend, but then he's also spitting out little artifacts that tap creatures down. So definitely wanted him to be a nice defensive blue-white creature. And actually, he really is an artificer since he makes like quite a few inventions in the movie. It seems like they were trying to make him an inventor. Okay, next we have Terry, Lover of All. So Terry's one of Wayne and Garth's like behind the scenes guys, and also one of their friends. And he's got long hair and kind of hippie or 80s glam rock looking dude. And Terry, Lover of All, is 2 red for a legendary human creature. He's a rare. He's a 1/2, and he has tap. Put a love counter on target creature. Then Terry, Lover of All, deals 1 damage to that creature for each love counter on it. And then the flavor text on him is, I love you, man. I know. No, you don't. So Terry, throughout the movie, keeps telling his friends that he loves them. And unless you say thank you, he like doesn't think that you believe him or something like that. I don't know, but he keeps telling you that he loves you to the point where it's like he gets crazy. He just keeps saying it. So I wanted to evoke that with his card. So each time you're telling that creature that you love them, you're dealing more and more damage to them because it's just they're getting more and more tired and scared of you. So next we've got the Mirthmobile, which is I guess Garth's car because he's the one that's driving it. And the Mirthmobile, I believe, is a pacer, and it's got some flames on the side of it. And it's a legendary artifact for 4 mana, and its creatures you control gain hexproof. And this is probably one of the most iconic scenes from the movie, was them driving around in the pacer and playing Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. So the flavor text is, I think a little Bohemian Rhapsody, gentlemen. And there's actually, this is a cool behind-the-scenes story I don't think a lot of people know about the movie. They wanted to play a Van Halen song, the producers did, and Mike Myers was the one who changed it and said, I want Bohemian Rhapsody. And actually, the producers weren't on board. So believe it or not, Mike Myers said, if you don't play the Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't even want to do this movie. He felt so strongly about Bohemian Rhapsody being played that if they made him do Van Halen, he said he wasn't even going to do the movie. And what's so amazing about that is this scene became one of the most iconic scenes in the movie, like I said. So it looks like Mike Myers was onto something. It's like he knew something no one else knew about Bohemian Rhapsody, I guess. More of a timeless song than Van Halen, I'm sure. Okay, next we have Stacy, Psycho Hose Beast. So Stacy was or is Wayne's ex-girlfriend, who's just crazy and clingy. So I wanted her card to sort of evoke that. So she's 1 colorless and 2 green for a 4/1 mythic legendary human creature. Stacy, Psycho Hosebeast must be blocked if able. And then when Stacy, Psycho Hosebeast is blocked, it gains Death Touch and Trample until end of turn. So pretty powerful card, actually. Dies fairly easily, but Death Touch Trample is always like an insane sort of mashup since each after it only takes 1 damage to kill the creature, and then all the remaining damage tramples over. In fact, I'm not even sure that there is an actual Death Touch Trample creature. I think there may be a card that possibly gives both, like until end of turn, that I can't think of right now, but I'm almost positive that there is no actual Death Touch Trample creature, because that ability matchup is just so ridiculous. So ridiculously good. Next we have Glenn of Stan Mikita's Donuts, played by Ed O'Neill. So Glenn is the night manager of the Stan Mikita Donut Shop, which is a fictitious donut shop. It's based on Tim Hortons. They're both hockey players, so I think Mike Myers had a hand in this since he's a Canadian born and big hockey fan. So Glenn of Stan Mikita's Donuts, he's the night manager, and he's kind of crazy, and not even kind of, he's just straight up crazy. Every single piece of dialogue he has, it seems to have to do with like murder or or just crazy, outlandish, scary, horrific things. So I definitely wanted to evoke that. Glenn is his dialogue in the movie is so funny to me. So Glenn of Stan Mikita's Donuts is one colorless, a white, and a black for a 3/3 legendary mythic human creature. He has Intimidate because he's pretty intimidating with everything he says. And then whenever Glenn of Stan Mikita's Donuts deals damage to an opponent, you may pay 1 life. If you do, draw a card. So kind of like a Phyrexian Arena, but also similar to the Shadow Mage Infiltrator, which was the 3-mana 1/3 fear that whenever it dealt damage to an opponent, you get to draw a card. So I wanted him to be similar, but since he's a legend, I changed a couple things from the Shadow Mage Infiltrator. So since he has Intimidate, he can be blocked by both white and black creatures, whereas Shadow Mage Infiltrator had Fear, which means he can only be blocked by black and artifact creatures. Oh, yeah, Intimidate would be, with Glenn, it would be white, black, and artifact creatures can still block him. So I also made it Phyrexian Arena instead of just drawing a card. And then the trade-off was he's a legend and he's at 3/3. So super efficient, power and toughness-wise, and still has Intimidate, and you can gain a life, or pay a life and draw a card. So I still think he'd be a pretty highly played card, even as a legend. His flavor text is, so this is an example of one of Glenn's awesome pieces of dialogue in the movie. If you stab a man in the dead of winter, steam will rise up from the wounds. Indians believed it was his soul escaping from his body. So, yeah, pretty terrifying. And he's just saying it to the patrons. So what I love about it is he creeps out the patrons something fierce. I love it. Okay, next we have Noah Vanderhoff. This is actually played by Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray's older brother. And Noah Vanderhoff is one colorless, a red, and a green for a 2/2 legendary human creature. He's a rare. And he has tap target land and opponent controls, add red or green to your mana pool. And then the flavor text is, beauty is you can't get to the next level, so the kids keep coughing up quarters. So Noah Vanderhoff owns Noah's Arcade in the movie. And he's just like a local business owner that's, I believe, one of the investors for Wayne's show when he eventually decides he sells it to Benjamin, which is a guy I'll show you soon, who buys the show and makes it, ups the production value of it basically. And Noah's the investor. And he's like a rip-off artist, it seems like, with his arcade. So I kind of wanted to evoke you're taking your opponent's resources and adding them to your own. Next we have Excalibur, Axe of Insanity. So axe in this case is a slang term for a guitar. Sometimes guitars are called axes. So Excalibur, Axe of Insanity is a 3-drop legendary equipment. It's a mythic. Equipped creature gets +3/+0 and can't be blocked, and it equips for 2. So I kind of mimicked the cost and equip cost of the mythic swords, and then I just gave it +3/+0 and can't be blocked. I feel like is a pretty awesome ability mashup for an equipment. So is it on level with the swords? Probably not, but since those grant not only 2 color protections but like 2 other abilities as well, this basically just gives huge power upgrade and can't be blocked, which is still very good. So the flavor text on Excalibur, Axe of Insanity is a Fender Stratocaster with triple single coil pickups and a whammy bar. Pre-CBS Fender corporate buyout. So that's Cassandra, played by, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but I think it's Tia Carrera. And they're talking about this Fender Stratocaster that's in a guitar shop. And Wayne could never afford it, but until he sold the rights of his show. Moving on, we have Cassandra of Crucial Taunt. So Crucial Taunt is the name of her band in the movie, which I always thought was a funny band name because it's such an awful it's such an awful band name. Crucial Taunt. And Cassandra is 3 colorless, a white and a blue for a 3/4 legendary human creature. She's a mythic rare. She has celebrity as well. And then her ability is, while choosing targets as part of casting a spell or activating an ability, your opponents must choose at least one creature named Fan on the battlefield, if able. So, taking a cue from the Flag Bearer Coalition Honor Guards from the past, I had to look those cards up and see how those abilities are worded these days. So, as you can see, the wording a little bit technical on it, but I wanted it to be like the Coalition Honor Guard for the fans, and I think she's very good since she's spitting out dudes, and all spot removal has to be played on your fan cards while she's out. Next we have Benjamin the Treacherous. So Benjamin the Treacherous, played by Rob Lowe, and he's the antagonist in the movie. He is kind of a manipulator, and I wanted to evoke that on his card. So Benjamin the Treacherous is 3 black for a 3/3 legendary human creature, also mythic. When Benjamin the Treacherous enters the battlefield, put a manipulation counter on each creature your opponents control. Benjamin the Treacherous has Indestructible and Intimidate for as long as a creature has a manipulation counter on it. So there's a 3 black 5/5 that I believe was first printed in a core set that you have to put, I forget what the name of the counter is and the card, but you put a counter on an artifact you control, and for as long as you have that artifact with the counter, that 5/5 is indestructible. So I wanted Benjamin to be similar to that card. So instead of putting it on an artifact you control, since he's a legendary mythic, you're putting it on your opponent's creatures, and as long as your opponent has those creatures, Benjamin's going to be indestructible and have Intimidate. So because he's manipulating them, he's intimidating them, and they think he's indestructible is kind of what I was going for with that. And since he's got evasion and extremely hard to kill, I feel like he'd still be a pretty playable mythic for black. Also because black typically doesn't get hyper efficient creatures unless there's a downside. So 3 mana 3/3, actually pretty efficient for black, which black is supposed to have I believe, the weakest creatures of all of the colors. And then we've also got, finally, We're Not Worthy. So famous scene when they go to an Alice Cooper concert, and then afterwards they get backstage passes and get to meet Alice Cooper. And when they meet him, they're so intimidated that they just start bowing before him and saying, "We're not worthy, we're not worthy." So I definitely had to make that a card. And We're Not Worthy is 2 colorless, 2 green, and 2 blue for a sorcery. It's a rare, and kind of took a cue from Prime Speaker Zagana a little bit. So as an additional cost to cast We're Not Worthy, tap 2 untapped creatures you control. Draw cards equal to the total power of those creatures. So this would be a difficult card to set up. You have to be in blue and green. You have to have 6 mana. You have to have 2 untapped creatures with a relatively high power to really get the the upside of it. But I feel like this would be a pretty highly playable like commander card or something like that, since usually you're playing with some expensive fatties, and drawing like 10 cards or something for 6 mana would be quite insane. So that's it for this week. Wayne's World set was a lot of fun. It got the most views of any of my other sets on Reddit. And the Reddit people also had some really funny ideas about cards I didn't include, like Phil partied out again. And there's just so many characters. Chris Farley has a cameo in the movie as like a security guard with too much information. I could have made that a card. There were a lot that I could have made. I just didn't want to infuse it with too much and not make some of the cards work. Like, I felt pretty good about most of these cards, so I felt fairly confident making them. But I wanted to try like a mega happy ending card, since that's like a little scene in the movie as well. But I just couldn't come up with a card that I liked. So that's ultimately where I stopped. But the Wayne's World set went over really well. I think it just connects with Magic players of my age group, which is a lot of different Magic players. So happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas if you celebrate that. and we're going to see you next week. So enjoy the cube videos. Until then, I hope you guys are enjoying the holiday cube. I'm learning some lessons as well. I wanted to do something aggressive for the most part, but I just got done playing a blue-green ramp deck that went over well. So I'm willing to branch out and try some other things. It doesn't seem like this cube is as designed for aggro decks as other cubes might be. It seemed like the Legacy cube was allowed for a lot more monocolor sort of craziness. This one definitely seems to be abuse artifacts, get multicolor, branch out, try crazy stuff like that. Okay, folks, we'll see you next week.